Welcome to LOFT, episode 5. Today we have Huser's cousin, Danny Johnston. Welcome, brother.
Welcome, bro.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get into your story, because Huser hit me up about it and said you have an amazing story that you want to tell.
Yeah.
So you have your own podcast, correct?
I do. Yeah. I'm wearing the logo.
There you go.
Actually, someone in the story, his name's Brendan.
Okay.
He's going to be brought up a lot in the story. He made the logo for me.
That's awesome.
He's a graphic designer.
Yeah, I like it. What's your podcast called?
It's called Scene Invaders. We talk about movies, comic books, video games, TV shows.
That's awesome.
All fun stuff.
Yeah, it's sick. So
Yeah.
talk about The Mandalorian. I saw you talk
Yeah.
about The Mandalorian
Yeah, we
a
did,
little
yeah.
bit. It's a great show. People are watching. Good Star Wars show on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You watch it?
I love it. Yeah, I just finished it.
You recommend it. What was the one you had me watch?
Which?
The superhero one on Netflix?
The Boys? That's on Amazon?
Amazon.
No, Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran through that so fast.
Is it good?
Yeah, so good.
I heard
Yeah,
about that.
so
I
good.
gotta watch that too.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I'm not usually into like superhero things, but
Yeah.
They do a different take on it.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
such a you have a great podcast, and the stuff you talk about, like especially right now, people are kind of stuck in their house,
Right,
you know.
Yeah, that's the main goal. For if someone messages me and says, "Oh, thanks for this. I really like this recommendation."
Yeah.
I'm good.
So,
You know?
so would you consider it like a pop culture
Yeah.
podcast?
Yeah,
and stuff
pretty
like
much
that?
all around. I mean, we talk about random stuff sometimes too.
Right.
Basically, we just shoot the shit, have a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had a lot of help recently, so we're starting to grow.
That's awesome, dude.
Got about 9 people helping out.
That's awesome. You have an amazing story, and before we talk about it, I wanted to give a different perspective. I'm glad that Huser reached out to me about you because it just sounds like you sounds like something you really want to talk about, and
Yeah.
you told me you haven't talked about it, right?
No, not in a public setting like this. The people close to me know about it. Family knows about it. But my own brother, Drew, who is one of the co-hosts in rotation on my show, he told me he didn't find out until like 5 years ago.
Wow.
And he's like 22.
Nick, when did you find out?
So I found out a few years ago.
This
I
happened
think
13 years ago.
Yeah, so I think I
Okay.
found out about a few years ago, but I kind of never knew like the full details of the story. But
Yeah.
I was always interested. But I feel like you probably weren't ready to give like
Yeah.
a full account for it yet.
Yeah, I honestly,
So, and then like recently you gave me like we talked about, gave me like an abridged version of it after we started the podcast, and,
Yeah.
and we were talking about it a little bit, like how we're doing some mental health things. And I said, man, that would be a great like unique perspective
Yeah.
to give.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Is like for us, like when we have people on, it's like usually people the afflicted, but like we also want to let people know it's so important that the ones that are affected, like around the afflicted or the addicted or whatever it may be, like it's just so important. I've been dying to hear about it.
Yeah, let's get into
and
it.
let's get into your story. So, go
all
ahead.
right. So basically, so the people are ready for it. It's going to get graphic. This is when I witnessed the suicide attempt my freshman year in college. And I was going to college in Florida. And about an hour north of Tampa Bay is where the school was.
What was school called?
St. Leo.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm going to leave my roommate's name out of this, and he was the one who did the attempt. He survived. He's still alive. And he used to reach out to me like once a year, and he hasn't lately. So I'm going to leave his name out of this.
Of course, absolutely.
Hopefully he sees this, and then
Yeah.
he wants to come on and talk about his experience.
I mean, yeah,
That'd be great.
100%, dude.
I'm going to
We're
get
open
it.
to that.
Yeah, I'm going to send it to the other guys that I'm going to mention, and they're going to be Brendan, who made the hat, the logo.
Shout out to Brendan.
Brandon, and Ricky.
Brandon.
So these are 3 guys who really helped me through this night. And then obviously, my family and friends and everything. So
Yeah.
we'll get to
Of course.
it. All right. So basically, this is how it starts. I wanted to work in sport management. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was looking for schools. I didn't really apply to many. I applied to about 3, and I got into St. Leo, and I was deciding between that or Penn State. So I was like, you know what? This place has a good relationship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Lightning. So you could get an internship. Maybe it'll work out. Let's give it a shot. You know what I mean? The worst case, you come home.
Right.
So I give it a shot. I go down there, and immediately I got pretty close with my roommate because he was kind of he was from New Jersey, Wall, New Jersey.
Okay.
So he was kind of didn't really know anyone either, like me.
Yeah.
Turns out Brandon, the other guy, who's going to be in this story, he's from Philly, but we met down there, and he was in my wedding. So we get down there. I meet my roommate. Everything's cool. We get along right away. Everybody gets along, and then it's kind of like this group of me, Brandon, Brendan, Rick, and my roommate. And like I said, I'm going to leave his name out of it for now. But hopefully he does reach out after this. And I went home for Thanksgiving, and then I went home from some random weekend. I forget. But my dad used to work at Southwest Airlines, so I had free flights. So
That's pretty clutch.
Yeah, you had to do standby. But if there was an extra seat on the plane, you go. So sometimes you had to wait around a little bit, but a free flight is a free flight, right?
Exactly.
So I went home a couple times, and the one time I left and came back, my buddy Brendan comes up to me and says, "Yo, you should talk to him. Let's just call him Tom."
Tom. Okay.
For the just
okay,
for that sake,
okay.
so I don't have to keep saying him or whatever.
Yeah.
So he goes, "You should talk to Tom. Something's not right. I don't know what's going on, but he's been acting weird." And then we all took a trip. This was a week before finals. We took a trip to Daytona. So like where the Daytona 500 is.
Yeah.
Because that's where Rick's from. And we went and stayed at his house, and we went and hung out in his hometown, and he showed us around for, I think it was a weekend we were there. And the whole time he's like happy again. Everything's great. And we're all laughing, having a great time. It's perfect as could be. It's just like when I first got there, and the four of us are all hanging out, and everything's, perfect. On the ride home, he's not talking much. Now, keep in mind, this is a week out from finals, so it's a stressful time for college students. You guys all went through it.
100%.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're just not in the mood to talk. I get like that all the time now. But anyway, he's not talking the whole week. I'm his roommate. I'm trying to talk to him as much as I can, and we're just not really getting anywhere. So then it comes to the day that everything happened. I don't have the exact date on me, but it was, I was 18, so 13 years ago.
13 years ago, right?
Yeah. So in, what was that, 2000? Quick math. 2008. Yeah. 2008. When the Phillies won the World Series. Yeah. So Brendan, the guy he's from Buffalo. He says, "Man, something's not right. We got to do something. Let's take him to McDonald's." So it's me, Brendan, and Rick. We take Tom to McDonald's, and we go. And I've had my first and last Big Mac ever.
Really?
That night.
Because of that night.
Yeah, it's like I associate some things with it.
Absolutely.
And I just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
some things just weird me out, right?
Yeah, you don't want that feeling again.
It's crazy.
So we go to McDonald's. He's not talking. Brendan brings it up at McDonald's. He goes, "Tom, what's going on? Are you okay? Like, you've been really quiet." He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Okay." So we get back in the car. It's about a 10-minute drive back to school. And all of a sudden, I think Brendan might have asked him again, but I was in the front seat at this time. And Brendan's back here, Tom's back here behind me, and Rick's driving. And he may have asked him, like, what's going on again? And then all of a sudden, he just breaks down hysterically crying. And he's like, I don't even remember what he said, because, like, this whole thing's kind of
It's a
jumble.
blur so long ago, too.
And keep in mind, I'm talking about this for the first time. I've wanted to talk about it in public more. I made a Facebook post before Corona, like I want to start talking about this kind of thing. So he starts freaking out. Rick pulls over, and he's like, "What's up?" He's like, he's the type of guy that's like, he solves things by being funny. So he
he's just humor.
Yeah, he's just humor.
Okay.
Yeah. So Rick makes a joke, everybody laughs, Tom laughs, and we move on. So I text both of them, and I say, can you guys stay with me a little bit? Like, something doesn't feel right. Like, just stay with me. They lived across the campus.
Okay.
They were roommates, and me and Tom were roommates on the other side of campus.
Right.
So he's like, "Yeah, let me stop at my dorm and get some books real quick, and we'll be right there." Mm-hmm. So they drop us off, and they're there within 10 minutes. So they obviously felt something was wrong too. Mm-hmm. This is around 10 o'clock at night. So I'm just studying. Tom's studying. We're all hanging out. We're shooting the shit, laughing, trying to cheer him up. But still, just something doesn't look right in his eyes. It's just like something's off.
Right.
I don't really know what it is.
You can kind of like see it.
Yeah, you can feel it too. Then Rick goes, look, man, it's getting late. He's sleeping, so he fell asleep. You know,
Yeah.
we're gonna bounce. I'm like, all right, go ahead. So they leave. I'm still sitting at my desk studying. So then my girlfriend at the time calls me. I guess I can say her name. I don't think she'd be mad. Her name is Jade. She called me. So I walk out of the dorm. I had the lights on when I left out, and I shut the door. That's 2 things to remember. 2 key things.
So you left the room and shut the door.
Left the room,
Tom
shut the
was
door.
by himself.
Tom was by himself sleeping. Okay.
Alright.
I go outside. My dorm room was at the end of the hall. My RA lived across from me, and the steps were down there. You know, like a typical dorm room where they have like the spiral steps going up.
Yep.
It's like all concrete everywhere. It's just like that. Typical dorm room.
Yeah.
So I go and I sit on those steps. And I go, hey, Jade, sorry, I got held up. And she had known that I was worried about him, that I was worried about Tom, because I had told her throughout the week.
How long were you worried about him?
A week.
A week.
So I got home from Philly. I went to Philly on a random trip, used the plane tickets.
Okay.
Came back, and when I came back is when I was made aware that he was acting weird.
Okay.
And then we took a trip to Daytona right when I got back.
Who noticed it?
Brendan from Buffalo. And Rick, both of them did.
So Brendan and Rick were roommates, or they're just your friends from school, right?
Yeah, they were roommates together, but we were all friends.
Oh, friends, got it.
We were like never without each other.
Got it.
So I'm talking to Jade literally for a minute and a half, not long. And I just go, listen, like, I just still don't feel worried about Tom. I'm going to go ahead and go back in the room. Okay? Let me take a sip.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah, man.
Wow. This is heavy stuff, man.
Yeah. And one of the major things, I'm kind of shaking. One of the major things I want to say here is you never know what someone's going through, so don't be a dick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I remember he had some asshole say some shit to him a couple weeks back, and maybe that was the last step. You know what I mean? You don't know what people are going through.
Yeah.
So I still don't know why he actually tried to do what he did, but so I hang up with Jade. I turn, and I'm literally the first room, okay? And immediately I noticed that the door's cracked. Now, I had shut the door when I left.
Right.
I had completely shut it. Mm-hmm. And those doors are very easy to lock. So, and they're like the ones that you have to kind of push shut, and they're really heavy doors.
Yeah, the heavy in the dorm. Yeah.
So I'm walking towards the door, and I got the weirdest feeling ever.
Yeah, just
Like something is going on behind that door, and I fucking know it.
yeah, it's just your body telling you, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I know it. And when I got off the phone with her, I still had this weird feeling. That's why I cut it short. We barely talked, and I talked for a minute and a half and told her how to go. Like, when you're dating long distance, you usually talk for at least a half an hour.
Right.
And I cut it. I was like, no, I got to go. I'm sorry. I didn't really study that much. I was planning on pulling an all-nighter. I had an exam at 8 a.m. I had a final 8 a.m. This is like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was just planning on staying up all night regardless. So the door's cracked, the light's off. I noticed the lights off from the hallway, and I had it on, and I shut the door. Like, these are things that I'll never forget. There's certain images that will be stuck in my head forever. So I open the door, and all I see is a silhouette sitting on their bed, and you could see that their hand is to their throat, and I heard a gurgling noise. Okay? I turn on the light, and there's blood squirting everywhere. He was how do you say it?
Slitting.
He was slitting his throat. Yeah,
Jesus
with a knife.
holy shit, man.
It was like a little pocket knife about this big. He was slitting his throat with a knife. I turn on the light and see this, and I'm like, am I allowed to curse?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm freaking out. Like, I didn't know what to say. So I ran at him. I didn't know what to do also.
Yeah.
I start screaming help. I ran at him. He takes it out and then points it at me. So I didn't know what the hell to do. So I ran across the hall and I punched my RA's door a few times. And I'm screaming, help, help, help. People are coming out of their of their rooms,
room.
like peeking out, like what the hell's going on? I had blood on me at this point. It gets worse though, and the RA, Kevin, and hopefully he hears this. He's from New Jersey also. That guy, I haven't talked to him since, and man, thank you so much. Like seriously, that guy was awesome. You never know what you're gonna get when you sign up for an RA. I'm sure he didn't expect this.
Yeah.
So we go back in the room, and now he's on the floor at this point, and there's a pool of blood all around him, and he's still going at it. We tried to get it out of his hands. He starts stabbing himself like this, and then finally we got it off him. Wrapped one of my shirts around his neck, and at this point there's blood all over me. There's blood all over Kevin. There's blood everywhere because he hit his jugular, so it started squirting.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was like out of a movie.
Yeah,
it really
so
was.
Intense, man.
I can't even imagine like an 18-year-old like
Yeah.
you're coming from Philly, you know what I mean? You're in you're in a whole new
and
world. You don't know where you're at,
You're so young.
and
Yeah,
then
man.
getting hit with that.
Oh
like-
my gosh,
but
man.
I'll let you keep going. Yeah.
So we get the knife off of him, and I think he had slit from about here to about midway through. So we got about this much,
Yeah.
from what I remember. We got someone to call the cops. We waited there, and a helicopter came.
Really?
A helicopter came and took him to the hospital, the closest one nearby, and they were able to save his life.
That's insane.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
So-
There was so much fucking blood. I couldn't believe that he survived. They say he barely made it. I didn't get much story from him or his parents about why it happened. But anyway, I called my mom. Well, actually, I had like they wouldn't let me do it because I was like shaking, and I just got interviewed by the cops to make sure I didn't do it.
For a report, yeah.
Yeah, because they did it to me and the RA. And when I'm going in, he's walking out of the cop car. He's like, "Dude, sorry about this, man. Good luck." Like
Yeah, yeah.
they questioned us about.
I mean, they have to.
Yeah, it's just part of the job, right? But I mean, imagine being in that situation and then being asked if you did it. Like
I would have freaked out.
I don't even remember what I said. Like I just at this whole point I was blacked out. But I'll never forget the look in his eyes when I turned on the light and he just looked me in the eyes, and it was like the devil.
Dude.
It was the devil.
That gives me the fucking chills.
It wasn't him. You know, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
No.
It wasn't the kid I knew who showed me my favorite band. That's still my favorite band.
I really do got the chills right now, man.
Yeah,
That's-
looking in his eyes, man, I'll never fucking forget it. I'll never forget it. It was like he was possessed, man. It really was. Like I have no other words to put it.
Yeah,
Like, that's the way it seemed.
And it's
And for him to go at me with a knife, like we were so cool.
yeah.
So like I know he wasn't trying to stab me. He was just trying to get me away from him.
From him, so yeah.
But then people say like he would have locked the door if he wouldn't. Like people say a lot of things, right? But so he got airlifted, and my mom, one of the counselors, called my mom, and I say it's 2 or 3 in the morning. Make sure you know how my mom is. She's a little overprotective. So I was like, make sure you open with "I'm okay," open with that, because she's getting a call from this area, and it's not me on the phone. She's gonna be freaking out.
Right.
So, of course, he doesn't. He says, "I'm sorry, something happened to Daniel," and I'm in the background screaming. I'm like, "Tell her I'm okay."
Yeah.
And then she told me she was mad at that when she came, but she came right away. Her and my older brother Greg, also one of Nick's cousins.
Yes.
They were there by like 8:30, 9 in the morning.
Wow. They got there that quick.
They,
Right
they
away.
left right away, got me, and I was gone. And I never went back.
You never went back.
What a way
no.
to open with someone's mom. Something happened to Daniel
I
when,
told him
when
too.
you weren't
Yeah.
directly. I mean, something did happen, but
Yeah.
paint a little bit of a better picture.
Just imagine anyone's mom just
Yeah,
hearing
like,
that.
what the hell?
Yeah, it's like, dude, my mom would have like snapped.
Especially the way, like our moms are both, you know how they are.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Very
just
soft.
like loving and worrying, and you know, like
bubbly, soft-hearted people. It's a lot to listen to first. Like for my first listen, and like it's a lot. I mean, to go through, and like I can't imagine that you're the same after that.
No. I always tell. Well, I don't tell people this, but I think this. There's 2 Dans. You know, there's before that happened and there's after that happened.
Yep.
Because I have not been the same since.
There's
And it's almost been half my life. So actually, I will speak to the night of still. for a moment, because I walked back into my dorm for a second, and one of the cops was like, point at everything you still want. And I was like, whatever doesn't have blood on it. Anything that has blood on it, throw it out. And I had like just gotten all this new stuff up in Daytona. I was like, I don't want it. Like, throw it all out. I don't want to ever look at that stuff again.
Yeah.
And so they threw it all out. And the next morning, well, actually still that night, I was sitting on the steps before I got talked to by the cops. There was this girl who went to school there, and like I had seen her face a few times, but I didn't ever really talk to her. But she looked at me, and I wonder if this is still in her mind, because I remember I was like crying, freaking out. There's blood all over me. I'm sitting on the steps like shaking, and then I look up and she's looking right at me. Like, I wonder if that is ever still in her head.
Right, like your stare, like
Yeah,
your
exactly.
stare at her,
Because you don't know.
Tom
Like,
looked at you.
one of the quotes I wanted to say, a song that one of the songs that I could bring up. There's a lot of great lyrics in the world,
Yeah, 100%.
But one of them that really always stuck out to me the first time I heard it, and to this day, is, and it relates to a lot of things. It's your death. It won't happen to you. It'll happen to your family and your friends. So that song is specifically about drugs. So they're talking about overdose in that scenario.
Right.
But it relates to suicide.
I mean, that is a huge message behind it.
Yeah.
If you really think about
It
it.
relates to so many things, like
Like, I mean,
like you said, the images. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy what the brain can do.
It's like pictures.
Yeah,
man.
like it's crazy how the brain
Yeah.
can store something in there. Like, there's certain moments in your life that you'll see something or go through something, and then out of nowhere, like one day you're sitting there watching TV or something, it just pops right
Yeah.
in your head. Like,
yeah.
There's stuff that happened today that I don't remember as well as I remember that.
moment. I mean,
exactly.
there's
Exactly.
always a moment in people's lives, and they obviously vary from different things, but there is always a moment in someone's life where their innocence is gone, and
Yeah.
and they feel like their life
That
has
was
been
it for me.
different ever since that moment. And
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, I really commend you for even coming out here and speaking on it, because I could just see in you how much it has been affecting you and how
Yeah.
much it changed you. And like, I don't know, it's just
It kind of feels better already just to say it,
You
because
feel-
I know this is going to be on a platform where people are going to see it,
Yeah.
and hopefully, no one has to deal with this, but you can relate it to a lot of things.
I mean, dude, honestly, like, and it's so big to, like, if you have something that you've gone through, and if you're able and willing to share it, it's the strongest thing you can do. And you'll see the outpouring of love that you'll receive from people, just because they know how brave that it is from you to say that, because I'm sure there's people watching who haven't been able to speak on certain stories like that.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you're able to teach people and maybe relate to other people too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm all for it. I mean, again, we're Scene Invaders on all social platforms. If you want to follow me and DM me to talk, I'm down.
quick break. We'll take a quick break.
Yeah,
We have 2 minutes left, so but I want to keep going. Like,
Yeah.
we'll reset it. But dude, that was.
Let me go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's crazy. That story is insane, man.
Right?
You feel okay though? You do? You feel alright?
feel good, man.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's like getting a weight lifted off your shoulders in a way.
Yeah, I could just see.
There's power in sharing it, though.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not going to be the last time something like that happens to somebody.
So my mom gets there and my brother get there at like 8 or 9 in the morning, and then we couldn't fly out until the next day because they had to go through the room, and it was a crime scene.
I mean,
So
essentially
they
it was
had
a
to-
crime scene.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So they had to go through some stuff, and I had things I needed to get, and they told me they'd clean all the blood, and it'll just be stuff you want to take home. So we go to a hotel nearby. My mom got me like a 6-pack. No, she didn't. Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Like, she wanted me to calm down because I was like still shaking all the time. My brother was trying to calm me down, and then Brendan, and Rick. I actually don't remember if Brandon could make it, but Brendan and Rick both went to the hotel and stayed overnight. And we went to see a movie. I think it was Fred Claus. Like
Okay.
that's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
how do I remember seeing Fred Claus?
Right.
But I can't remember certain other movies I've seen because I've
Yeah.
seen so many movies.
Because it's connected to a
Yeah.
traumatic event.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
man. Like,
Yeah, and I don't want to interrupt you, but
No, yeah.
so I'm assuming you dropped out and transferred
yeah.
after that.
Yeah, I was gone.
That was the last time you were there.
Yeah, that was for last
completely.
time ever. So we stayed over that hotel, and then the next morning, we dropped Brendan and Rick off. Or no, they left because they had their car, so it was a nice goodbye. And then we went back to St. Leo. I went in my room, and almost immediately I saw something with blood on it. And we had to call them. They had to do a double check, and they were like, "So sorry." And then they were like, "You know what? Just literally take whatever you need right now. We'll send everything. We'll ship everything back to you." So that was nice of them.
Yeah.
So they took care of everything else, and then we left, and then I never went back.
So after all this ends, you come home. Talk about that dark road. Take us down that road.
I just wasn't myself at all. I feel so bad for Jade having to deal with that. We ultimately broke up about 6 months after I got home, but I just wasn't myself. I couldn't be in a dark room. I couldn't be alone. Anytime I was alone, I was like freaking out. I had these like weird dreams that someone was gonna try to murder me. Like it was just nuts, man. Like I was going crazy. So a couple of my friends like slept over for like 3 weeks straight. People just tried to be there for me as much as they could. But it's something you can't really put a finger on, and there's not an answer to it.
No.
There's no answer. You don't know what to do.
No.
So that's why I'm hoping if anybody sees this that needs an answer or some kind of
Just counseling.
action. Yeah. And I have other things that I'll suggest later.
I mean, most people think
But
of
talk, yeah.
PTSD as like war, right?
Yeah.
That's all you ever hear of, and that's 100% real too. But there's such another side to PTSD. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So many people out there could be going through PTSD.
Exactly.
And I was being kind of stubborn to it. Like to be frank, I was being an asshole after this happened. I can be honest about that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to anybody if I was an asshole to you around this time. I apologize. But one thing you don't realize when you're going through something like this is this random guy at Wawa doesn't know what you're going through.
Right.
So if he's like says something rude to you, or people can be dicks sometimes, like honk at you or something, like I would freak the fuck out.
Right.
I'd get out of my car,
Right.
and like scream at them, like try to fight them. I got in like all these fights after this happened.
And the thing people don't realize is a lot of times when you're lashing out like that, it's because of something unresolved within you.
Yeah.
Like
so
it
that
doesn't-
guy's like, oh, this
Yeah,
dickhead.
it
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
usually have anything to do with the person that
No,
you're
yeah, almost not.
coming at.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's more,
Yeah.
it's the battle within yourself that's going on.
I mean, it's something that's so important that you hit on is like you never know what the other person's going through,
Yeah.
and that can be in the same effect of Tom too. You know
Exactly.
What I'm saying? So
Yeah, I still would like to know why.
So before the week, just to backtrack a little bit, before the week that you came to Philly,
Yeah.
and then you went back right around finals, and it was a week he was acting weird. So prior to that week, he was
Nah,
he
he
was
was
he was fine.
Yeah.
You didn't see any signs of anything.
No.
That just shows you never know, because this could have been something going on that whole time,
Yeah.
Right.
possibly.
He was
you know?
like a chill skateboarder. Like that's how I can
right.
describe him. So I had this thing with adrenaline. Now, hold on. Before I get there, let me talk about how awesome some of my friends were and staying with me and dealing with me because I wasn't myself. I was fucking weird.
Right.
It took a long time, and I didn't even go see a counselor for about 6 months.
Really.
I just didn't want to.
You just dealt with your demons.
Yeah, I just like hated my life, hated that happened to me, and just did nothing about it. I just let it drive myself crazy, and I didn't want help at the time. So what I would do was, I'm probably lucky to be alive, and I did almost die. I had a pulmonary embolism about 6 months or 4 months ago, whenever it was. If you could imagine yourself in that situation, walking into and seeing your roommate doing that, you'd bet that there's a lot of adrenaline pumping,
Right.
that you get really jacked up
Really fast.
really fast, trying to figure out what's going on as fast as possible because he's
Slitting his throat.
slitting his throat. So like he's dying. You have to act. So I didn't know what to do. I did my best, but give Kevin so much credit too for jumping in there and grabbing one of my shirts, and we both just tied him up, held him down, and waited for the cops. So I basically became addicted to adrenaline. There'd be these random nights where I'm just sitting around doing nothing. And after this, like 5 months after I was home, or like right after I broke up with the girlfriend, or she broke up with me, right after that, I got a new car, a Pontiac Grand Am GT quad exhaust, 2005. Like, did you remember that car with the eagle symbol on the back?
Yeah, a little bit.
So
Yeah.
that thing moved.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had no business having that car. So one of my things I would do to stop thinking about it is I'd be like, I'd equal the adrenaline or get as close to it as I could from that night. That was one of my coping methods.
When your mechanisms of coping,
Yeah.
just
Which I don't suggest.
no.
Yeah, go talk to someone.
Yeah.
But I would get on the highway and drive about 125 miles an hour, a lot. Just pump it, blast music, scream. Like
Jesus.
I went fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I went nuts.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
And I was always the type of friend that was always, you know, I want to get along with everyone. I always want everybody to be happy. You know, I want everyone to get along. If
Right.
two of my friends aren't talking, I hate that, and I try to
Yeah.
make peace between them.
I'm the same way.
Two of them are probably laughing right now because they know I'm talking about them.
Right, right.
I made them make up, and they were both grooms in my wedding.
It's weird you said that because I actually heard Dan Harris is his name. The Harris brothers. They're real big on like meditation and stuff. And
Yeah.
Dan Harris was covering the Afghanistan war when it was real. You know,
Intense
when it was a big thing.
with Bush and stuff.
Yeah, and he said, he was like, I was so addicted to adrenaline over there that when I came back to the States, he became addicted to cocaine
Yeah,
for
I
a
can see
really
that.
long
Yeah.
time because he was constantly trying to get that adrenaline rush again, like
Really?
from the war that he was covering.
So
that's
I mean,
insane.
see,
Yeah.
I was a big time stoner back then. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 blunts a day. Like I was nonstop smoking,
Yeah.
and I would smoke with the bowl in the car. I'd hit it when I was driving. Like I was an idiot. I was an idiot. I don't know how I got away with not crashing ever. Well, that's not true. I actually totaled that car, but that wasn't my fault that time.
But you're lucky. It could have been worse.
Yeah, it was. That was in the snow, and someone lost control and hit me.
Yeah, for
and this
sure.
was after I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so basically you just started going down a path of like self-destructing yourself. Yeah, it's just self-sabotaging yourself.
Yeah, and then I'd walk into the casino, lose $5,000, like it was nothing.
So how did you get out of that?
That's what I was going to. Good question.
Time. I finally went to counseling, and I wouldn't say it was quick to get out of that, but it was quicker to get out of that than it was for being completely depressed and not wanting. Like I didn't want to date anyone. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to, work and play video games and smoke weed. Like that's all I wanted to do.
Right.
So to get out of that took a long time. The depressed part. And I'm on antidepressants now. No shame in that.
No, none at all.
No, not at all, dude.
Yeah, and I'll take them for the foreseeable future. But to get out of the adrenaline phase, I don't know how I got out of it. I think just one day I was just like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
and I was-
you're also married now. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like a lot has changed since then.
Yeah,
You got
right.
your life together.
You're
Right. That lasted probably about 6 months to a year
Yeah.
with the speeding shit.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like
That's crazy.
That's just insane. I've never heard somebody ever have PTSD like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it varies for different people, but I feel like it's so important just to like talk about it. And also the biggest thing is to get over it. You got to get through it. So like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And now you came out the other side a completely different person, a completely
Yeah.
better person. You know what I mean? So what would you say to someone who was in the same situation as you? Obviously you never know, but I'm just saying to like the general person, like if you think you have a glimpse of somebody who have the signs of maybe being quiet, being distant, is there advice that you have that you maybe developed from your experiences over the time?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I think you want to sit down everyone that you know that loves this person and let them know that. I've lost people to suicide in my life. Our grandfather took
Right.
his own life.
Really?
And
yeah.
friends from high school.
We've all taken L's, right?
Yeah.
We've all taken L's,
Yeah.
man.
My friends from high school that have killed themselves after this. I mean, it's terrible, man. Like
Yeah.
that's not the way you want to go. And again, your death won't happen to you. It'll happen to your family and your friends.
Right.
Yeah, I
That
think that's
is-
one of the big problem with suicide is what it leaves behind. Like, you know.
Yeah,
It's really, really tough.
and there's so many unanswered questions when it happens. It's like why?
Exactly.
And like again, I still don't have answers from Tom. I don't know why he did it. other than just being generally depressed.
I mean, you never really know. I mean, people have their own demons or battling. And it could be something small or something so big, but to the person, it's big. You know what I mean?
Look at someone like Robin Williams, the actor Robin Williams,
like you got it all.
a guy who was,
Had it all.
but he always seemed so happy too.
Exactly.
That was one of the biggest trademarks about him. He was always the one in the
Smiling.
room making everyone else laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's really not signs. It's so hard to tell,
You
man.
can close your eyes and see Robin Williams smiling right now.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
like got that iconic
I
thing.
think the biggest thing is if there's people, in fact, friends and family in your life that you love. There's something that I've been learning. It's just reach out and just check in. Like checking in is just so big and it's so important because that person could be having a bad day.
So if you think it's getting to the point where they could actually do something, 100% set it up, bring everybody you know to go over.
Yeah.
COVID times, call, whatever. But make sure they know that you love them and that if they're even thinking about killing themselves, this is one of the cliche lines, but it's a permanent fix for a temporary situation. You know?
Right.
But that's so true. So I would suggest anyone that feels that someone they love may try to do something like this, that they act quickly and not pushy, but you want them to know, like, yo, what are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
To make them aware.
And it's weird, man. A couple times I wanted to die after this happened.
Right.
But then I think of my younger siblings, and like, no, I want to be
What
there
you're
for
leaving
them.
behind. And letting the person know that they have a support system. And I feel like you can never go too overboard because it's only one time it takes for them to be gone for forever.
Exactly.
You know.
Do you still have issues with the PTSD? I mean, I'm sure you still have. I'm sure you still do. It can't ever go away. You know.
I have my days where.
Are you still seeing like therapy or any? Are you still in counseling or anything?
I
or
am
no?
seeing a doctor who is handling that, but I've been meaning to, maybe do it. But when I went, I had a bad experience. I didn't really like the doctor I had. She was just pushing me meds and not really listening.
Not listening to you. Yeah.
This is a big step right here, though.
Yeah,
what you're doing
I know.
tonight.
And I want to
It's a
do
big
more like this. I want to go to, when the world's back normal, I'm going to go speak at events. But, quickly, one more thing before we wrap up.
Yeah, bro.
I want to say, so one of the things that happened was I ended up getting stressed out a lot. And I went to Brendan from Buffalo, his wedding. I drove up there. I rented a car. And this car didn't have... what is it called? Cruise control? Didn't have it.
Yeah.
So I'm driving, pushing down on this foot the whole time, about 8 hours there, 8 hours back, drank a shitload up there. Come back, my leg's hurting me. And it hurt for about 4 days, and I went to the hospital, and I had a blood clot. And it turns out I have a blood clotting disorder.
Your blood disorder, you said?
Yeah,
Right?
but what's crazy is if I didn't find that out and it gets to your lungs, that's a pulmonary embolism. And I just had one because they took me off blood thinners. I went back on and I was smoking like a pack a day. I'm not anymore. I was smoking like 2 packs a day, to be honest with you. Not anymore, but that wasn't good. And I almost died. They had to do emergency surgery. But it's crazy. I would have never found out about that disorder had I not gone to see Brendan in Buffalo.
That's crazy. It's just little things, man. Everything there's a reaction
because,
of,
Yeah, because now I know what to look for, what it feels like when you got one. But I'm on blood thinners now, so I shouldn't get one again. But I know what to look for. But people don't know what to look for, and then they just keel over and die.
I go back and forth all the time with life. Like, there's such an arbitrariness to it. Like, there's such randomness to life. And then there's things like that. Like if you didn't go up there to see him,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I would have never known.
I mean,
like,
I'd been like, oh, my leg hurts, whatever.
I mean, I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason, dude.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be a reason for these, like, bad things happen.
Thank you for saying that, because one of the best things my dad ever said to me, it was when I was real down, and I go, Dad, I just wasted time, and now I'm fucked in the head, and I wasted money. And he goes, listen, you went to St. Leo to save Tom's life. So that's one of the best things he's ever said.
And also
He's a wise man.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a quote dropper too. He says,
Drop them bombs.
Yeah, he said something that really hit me. Like, he said he heard someone say one time, "I've never been afraid to turn the page on a bad chapter of my life." You know what I mean? Like, you can always just turn the page and That's what you're doing. What you're doing right now.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
turning to another page. You know what I mean? Like,
My wife Sasha, she's been the person that's gotten me out of the depressed space.
Your support.
To get me to be happy. And it's crazy. She witnessed a suicide attempt. Someone slit their wrist in front of her. So I'm going to try to get her to come on and talk about it. She has a lot of stuff that she could talk to about.
Absolutely.
But when I got together with her, now we've been together for 5 years, married for 1 year. I just started becoming more happy, like feeling like myself finally.
Right.
And that was when I was 27. So, I mean, it took 9 years to feel like myself.
Damn.
9. And a lot of those years were lonely years.
Dude,
and you had to fight for that.
Yeah.
everybody has their own timetables, the way they recover, and sometimes you need to go through that.
Yeah, and then my mom says, and I love you, Mom. Thank you. Thank you to everyone, Greg, Drew, Dana and David were really young at the time, but thank you to everyone that was there for me. Like Steph, she was great.
And I hope like people like Dana and David
Katie.
who are younger are able to watch this and learn from it too, because
Right.
you know what I mean. There's a lot they can take from this.
I mean, yeah.
One other thing I forgot. Sorry. When people were trying to cheer me up, this was like within the first year of being back. Steph one time was like, "Yo, let's go see a movie." She's been my friend forever, and she just got engaged. Actually, congrats. And she takes me to see like Freddy Krueger or whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
the first fucking scene. Freddy like takes over someone's body, takes a knife and slits his throat. The first scene.
I remember that scene.
What happened?
Yeah.
What
That's
happened?
insane.
And she looks at me like, "I'm so sorry."
What happened? Were you okay?
I was just like, didn't want to look at it. You know what I mean? I was like,
God.
but then I just like shook it off, like fuck it.
Oh man.
But there's certain things that are just like triggers that take me back.
Dude, of course.
But yeah, trying to have a good time and that happens. Like there's a lot of crazy things that happen between that and now. But it's just, and my mom always says, well, now you can take anything. I'm like, well, I'd like to take a little less.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes you
But-
can't appreciate the good things that are going for you in life sometimes unless you're in some dark places.
And that's why I appreciate my wife so much. She's the fucking best. Like,
shout out
And
to
like
your
you
wife.
said, she has her own story to tell.
Yeah.
She's been through a lot of stuff too.
Dude, I love to have her on. I'm so happy you came on.
hopefully people get something from it. And again, I'd love to come back and maybe I'll just bring her. We'll get a fourth mic or something.
That'd be great.
I don't know
man.
if she'd come
I
by
got
herself.
a fourth mic right here,
There you
bro.
go.
I already got the whole setup.
But yeah, I'd like to have her talk too. She said she'd think about it.
Yeah, whatever's good for her. I mean, dude, like,
yeah.
like I'm just so happy you're able to come on and just like share your story, because I know it's gonna mean so much to so many people, dude. Because
Yeah.
there are so many people who have lost their loved ones, friends to
Oh
suicide.
man, it's nuts, man.
And-
It's hard.
I hope people reach out to you and really this resonates to a lot of people. I just hope they reach out and show the love and support.
And
because-
I hope he sees it too.
I hope so.
I
yeah,
hope. But
if there's a way, yeah.
hopefully.
The main thing I'll say is go to counseling and go early and stay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, and it ended up setting me back even more.
Yeah.
But then I got back and,
I mean,
went all the time.
In my opinion, counseling and therapy is so big because you're able to just let it out, and you're with someone who, and we've talked about this before, like someone who has knowledge in the field, so they know what to say or they know why you're feeling the way
Exactly.
you feel.
Yeah.
It's so important because, dude, when you hold it all in, it eventually all comes out somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's you want to drive 150 miles down the road,
Isn't that so weird? Like, have you ever heard that before?
No,
That's
Yeah,
I never did. I mean, I did from like watching that guy that I brought up, but
Yeah.
but it's just crazy the coping mechanisms of some people.
People's
you know?
brains, everybody's different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Everybody thinks different. Everybody talks different. Everybody's different. And the counselor, when she diagnosed me with PTSD, and she just kept pushing pills at me and kept raising it, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I got
Right.
angry. I think that's one of the first times I did it on my way home.
There's different therapists though for different people.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
she was
So-
new, fresh out. So like, I don't want to shit on therapists at all. Like, they do a great thing, and I highly, highly suggest anyone that's feeling down, even if nothing happened to you,
Right.
even if you woke up on a Tuesday and you're sad, you
Right.
know, and that happens a lot. Go talk to someone.
Absolutely.
There's no shame in it.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, it's another relationship that you're building. You know,
Yeah.
just the way you have a wife, you got friends, you got to build a relationship with your therapist, or it's not going to work. You're not going to get what you need out of it. You know what I'm saying?
There's no shame in it. Talk, be open. And I'm going to try to open people's minds more to use the way I did things as a bad way of doing it.
Right.
And yeah, it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, I
had
really
no
hope. I
idea.
really hope you speak, man.
going
I
to.
hope once
I'm going to.
once all this craziness ends, I feel like the world's ending half the
COVID.
time.
Danny, where can they find you?
Scene Invaders on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And we are just getting there on the YouTube side. We're just getting going, but I have a team helping me now. sceneinvaders@gmail.com if you'd like to email me and talk. If you want to give me a movie suggestion or anything, just contact me and let's talk.
Show some love, support, reach out if you got a similar story, dude. So
I'm there to talk to anyone.
And even if someone wants to just talk to you about their experience with PTSD or something,
anything
right?
at all.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Thanks, guys.
This is
Thank
the
you
Loft.
so much for coming. Yep.
This is the Loft episode 5. The Loft episode 5. I'm Kevin Nichols. That's Nick User. That's Danny Johnston. Thank you guys and peace.
See it.
That's it.
Good job, buddy. Good job, shit.
That was awesome, dude. Good job, bro. You killed it.
Did I?
You did great, bro.
How you feel? You feel all right?
I feel better, man. I feel lifted.